Welcome back. I am Unapologetically Eric. You can follow me on X at Eric Not Sorry or on Facebook at Unapologetically Eric. Before I really get into my feelings today, this is about the school shooting in Georgia that happened today, September 4th, that happened at a school near Atlanta. My thoughts, my heart, my feelings, of course, go out to the victims. As of right now, as I'm recording this, there has been reported 4 people have died and there are several injured. Of course, naturally, it's tragic. It's terrible. It's horrible. All the same things we say every time violence happens. And when I say victims, my heart doesn't just go out to the families of those that have died. I don't know if it's all the deceased are students or both students and faculty. I don't know. I haven't delved into it because honestly, let's face it, most media outlets right now are rushing to be the first ones wrong. So I'm not going to go completely down the rabbit hole of all the details because it'll pan out over the next 48, 72 hours or so. But my heart doesn't just go out to the families of the deceased. It goes out to everybody in that school. Every student, every faculty, from the teachers to the secretaries to the lunch ladies. Everybody's life has changed. Everybody in that school is a victim. Whether they were shot, whether they heard the shots, it doesn't matter. Their lives changed that moment. Some, if they work there, won't go back. They may just not even stay in that field because they can't. Because they will have PTSD from this and they just won't be able to step foot in a school again. And of course the students, will they be able to go back into that school or any other school? Of course, they still do need to get their education, but how much anxiety are they going to experience when they do one day return to school? Their lives, like I said, are forever changed from this heinous act. Of course, there's no motive. I believe I heard report that the piece of shit has been arrested. Again, I don't know if that's 100% factual. I don't know. But still, at this point, we don't know why somebody decided to wake up and choose violence today. Again, terrible, horrible, tragic. Now I want to get into how I really feel. As usual, per the usual, all of the anti-gunners, their legs must be sore because they've been doing an awful lot of jumping today. Jumping to conclusions and jumping up and down and screaming, "We need to ban guns. We gotta ban guns. This wouldn't happen if we ban guns." Shut the fuck up, Karen. Shut up. Per the usual, the victims aren't even cold yet, and the anti-gunners are out there wah about guns. Well, if you ban guns, somebody that chooses violence is going to find another weapon. Simply look at England. Guns are quote-unquote banned there, and people are still stabbing each other. You need to be over the age of 18 with a ID to purchase steak knives. You know, the ones that you use at your dinner table? Yeah, you have to be over the age of 18 with an ID in the UK to get a steak knife. That's how insane they are, but they've got other fucking problems. If you watched any TV like that murdery stuff, watch an episode of First 48. If you're not aware of what First 48 is, it's a TV show, it's a documentary, real-time, almost like Cops in a way, where they follow homicide detectives around, and oftentimes, there are criminals with a rap sheet, some with felonies, that are in possession of a firearm. Now, if you are unaware of gun laws, If you have a felony on your record, you cannot legally own or possess a firearm. Period. That's it. You committed a felony. Boom. You lost your Second Amendment right for life. Period. But they're still in possession of a firearm. Now, whether throughout the investigation that felon was indeed the killer, or they just happened to be, interviewed or, a witness or whatever, but they're a felon who is not supposed to own a gun or possess a gun and cannot legally purchase a gun, but they're in possession of a gun. So what do? Make laws stricter for felons to not get guns, even though they already can't? So if you ban guns, felons and criminals still fucking get them. I don't know how many goddamn times I have to say this, but people are stupid, so I apparently have to say it some more. But I have the solution to stop school shootings. I do. All we need to do is make murder illegal. Whether it's committed with a gun or a knife or a machete, we need to make murder illegal. Yeah, I know I'm being a little facetious. And somebody that's awfully offensive. No. I'm trying to make a point here. Committing violent acts on people is already illegal. Assault and battery, murder, stabbing, whatever. It's already illegal, but people still fucking do it. Well, if we took the guns away, it wouldn't happen. They would just pick a different fucking weapon. They would find a different tool. How will you stop somebody with a machete? Put your arms up? Oh, okay, good job there, Karen. Great job. How about somebody, I don't know, goes into a mall or a school with a chainsaw? How are you going to stop some crazy fucking nut job with a chainsaw? You're not. What do you do? Put your arms up? Okay. Good luck with that. Let's see how that fucking works out for you. Now, I've come up with solutions. Not just me. I'm not a fucking genius. I'm very much not a genius. But it's been discussed many times throughout the years because all I ever hear is, this happens far too often. Okay. Then let's do something about it. How about, I don't know, armed guards at schools? There are plenty of veterans out there that would be willing to do that. Some would volunteer, especially if they have kids at that school. But then the parents come out. Well, we don't want armed guards at our schools because we don't want our schools to look like prisons. Shut the fuck up. Oh, wait, you don't want the schools to look like prisons? Well, inner city kids have just entered the chat. Because many schools, if you are unaware, in the inner city have metal detectors and armed guards. Oh, wait, that's okay because that's different, right? Yeah, okay. You could implement metal detectors. Sure. People sneak shit into prisons by shoving them up their asshole or their hoo-hoos. Okay? Okay. Again, I believe that schools should have armed guards because a sign is not going to stop somebody hell-bent on violence. I also am fully support armed teachers. Not all teachers, again, I would not force that on anyone. If there is teachers out there that would be willing to learn how to use a firearm properly, I'm sure some of them do. If they would be willing to carry their firearm in school, concealed, and never tell anybody, like the students, I am in favor of that. But, again, you have the anti-gunners and the freaky parents that are, I don't want the guns, I want to teach, do something. Well, I've come up with 2 suggestions, and you don't like either one. So either sit down and shut the fuck up, or let's be realistic about a solution to stop somebody from doing this. I'm fucking pissed off with stupidity over this. Now, if you have listened to myself and my best friend Ryan on our 2 Guys, 1 Campfire podcast, we have discussed this before, but I shall delve into it again. Now, When I say arming the teachers, again, I'm not saying you just randomly select teachers and go, here, you're getting a gun today. No. You have the teachers that either already own guns and are proficient, or maybe they're hunters, whatever. You have to obviously do an investigation throughout throughout the school, who has them, blah blah blah. But then you need to bring in an outside contractor that does security, whether it's for celebrities or politicians or whatever. You bring them in and have them have conversations with the teachers, and you train. When is the school not occupied by students? Oh, that would be the summer. Well, you bring in these teachers that are willing to do this, and you have these people that are trained, and you bring them in and you run through drills. You run through scenarios. Maybe you use airsoft. You let these people do what they do. They find the soft points in the school. You have them find all of the blind corners and everything else that's involved. It's above my pay grade. It's not my field of expertise. But you bring in the experts that do this, and you set up scenarios with the teachers. Whether it's, okay, go to your respective classrooms, pretend you're teaching students, and then something is going to go out over the intercom or whatever. You come up with code words or whatever. You have a training course of this. What do you do? Not every teacher needs to run out of their classroom and go, we're going to be Rambo today. No, you come up with a plan. What do you do? Is it in a certain section of the school? Okay, well, if you're not in that section, what do? You work through the drills over and over and over until it's second nature, kind of like the military, and until they're proficient. And then you continue to do this. Again, on weekends when the school is closed, you pick a certain date. Okay, armed teachers, especially, if you're out of town, you're out of town. But, okay, on such and such a date, Saturday at 1 o'clock, we're meeting here at the school, and we're going to do this again. And we're going to do it again. And you never stop doing that training. Like I said, it doesn't mean that all the armed teachers need to, run out and face the person. No. Maybe there's one nearby. Okay, well, unfortunately, today is my day. I'm going to have to get directly involved in a two-way shooting range situation. But for the most part, you're going to evacuate or lock the door or whatever. You come up with a plan. Why is this so fucking difficult? Everybody screams and hollers something needs to be done, but then nobody wants to do anything. You care about your kids. That's awesome. Great. You should. Duh. Then do something. Come up with a fucking plan. Have armed guards all throughout the school, not just one at one entrance. No, you have several. Well, that's going to cost tax money. Okay, then have dead kids. Don't bitch. I don't want to fucking hear it. I am so tired every time something like this happens. It's always, we have to do something. Well, why didn't you fucking do something months ago? The last time something happened. Oh, well, because it wasn't in our state, so it didn't affect us. Then shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I do, obviously. I do. But what the fuck? Either do something or shut up. Stop whining. I don't want to hear it. Because if you are not willing to look at solutions that you may not like, then just deal with what happens. I don't know what to fucking tell you. And I know some parents out there, you're either anti-gun or you just don't like them. You find them scary. Okay, fine. I'm not going to rag on you. Really, genuinely, I'm not going to make fun of you. That's okay. Because not everybody has to think like me. Not everybody has to be a gun person like me. But just keep in mind, just because you may not like guns, you've never held one, never shot one, you find them scary. Again, okay, fine. But there are people out there that don't think that way. And inside your head, because you are unfamiliar with guns and you don't know how to use them, you find them scary. And again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being factual here. That's a true statement. But there are people that are familiar with them. They are comfortable with them, and they respect them, and they treat a firearm the way a firearm is supposed to be treated. You know, do you think 8-year-olds should be given the keys to your car? Well, no, right? No. Why? Because they're 8 and they don't know how to drive a car. Well, were you afraid to learn how to drive a car? Were you? I know I was. I mean, I got the basics. The wheelie thingy turns left and right. One pedal makes it go and one makes it stop. But that's just the basics. So let me again, I ask you, when you were learning to drive, were you afraid of the car? Were you afraid of driving? I'm not like saying terrified, oh my God. But were you scared and nervous? Well, yeah, of course you were. But how do you feel about driving now? You're comfortable with it, right? Well, yeah, because you probably got your license when you were 16 or 17, and we'll say you're 30 now, so you've been driving for, 12 to 14 years. You're comfortable with it. Well, that's how it is when it comes with guns. It's the same thing. Everybody that's ever picked up a gun, I don't care if they were learning how to hunt when they were 7 or they picked one up for the first time when they were 47. They were nervous. It's something new. Just like driving a car, you could plow into another car and kill someone or yourself or at least get hurt. Well, it's the same thing with a gun. You respect the fact that it can be dangerous if you aren't handling it properly. So to shy away from either arming the teachers and other faculty members or having armed guards, that's what... the guards, that's what they do. But arming the faculty and training them, that's what you do. So they can get better and proficient and not be scared like you. But again, if you're not going to come up with a solution, don't bitch, cry, and complain when something like this happens. And there's two other things I want to get into real quick. Everybody always asks, why does this happen? Okay, well, there are several answers to that. Now, in this particular incident in Georgia, which right now, again, as I stated in the beginning, we do not know. We don't know why this individual did this. In the past, we have deciphered why for some occasions, but oftentimes, somebody's just not fucking wired right. I remember hearing that phrase as a kid. Mommy, why is that person like that? Well, they're just not wired right. Well, what the fuck does that mean? It means they're nuts. They're crazy. And I've even asked the question, my friends and I have discussed, is the world crazier now than it ever was? And I'm sure many of you are nodding your head or outwardly saying yes. And I used to think that way as well. But I tell you, no. The world is not as crazier now than it ever was. No, it's not. And do you know why I know that? Because when countries go to war now, they are not butchering each other with swords and battle axes by the tens of thousands of dead souls a day. Yes, war is still hell, and bombs and all this stuff. But we're not hacking each other to pieces by the tens of thousands daily because of whatever reason, whether it was territory or religion or whatever the fuck. Yes, there are still wars and factions that go head-to-head nowadays over that stuff, but it's not like it was in, 1494, okay? But people are still gonna people. And there are people out there that are just fucking crazy. They're just nuts. They just naturally go straight to violence. I recently had a conversation. There was 3 people in the room were having a conversation about whatever it was, and I could tell that one person was getting a little irritated by the things that we were saying. And I didn't care because I don't care. It's how I feel, and that's how I speak, and if you don't like it, that's your fucking problem. But they were not, and it's okay that they weren't liking the things they were hearing. That's okay. I hear things every day that I don't like either. Well, it's how you deal with it. Well, this person looked at the other person and said, I'm going to hit you. And I'm like, why are you getting violent? Well, that's just what I do. From that moment forward, I lost respect for that individual because clearly you're immature. You're not an adult. You're choosing violence because someone didn't say something you liked. Well, you want to act like an adult and live like an adult, then fucking act like one, like really act like one. You can disagree and be argumentative and not like it, but they immediately wanted to get violent. Well, there's just some people that just choose violence. If you've been cut off by someone in traffic, how do you react? Most people go, fucking asshole, douchebag. Maybe you flip them off, but then you just whatever. But then other people go, and they lose their shit, and they try to cut them off, or they tailgate, and they're laying on the... They just chose fucking nuts. They chose crazy that moment. Again, we don't know why this piece of crap did this today, but maybe they weren't wired right. Also, I bring up the question, were they on any kind of medications? Because let's face it, kids are really over-medicated today. And I am not the only one that's talked about this. I know Joe Rogan has brought it up several times. I have heard Dr. Phil talk about it several times. Don't get me wrong, there are kids out there, and adults, that need medications for either, whether it's a mental disorder or a mental issue or whatever it is. I don't fault anyone for needing medications because of something going on in their head. And if you do need them, please take them, because if you need them, you need them. It could be depression, it could be schizophrenia, whatever. I'm not judging. But when it comes to kids, they are so over-medicated with shit nowadays. And again, I understand some need some medications. I get it. It's a individual by individual basis. But nowadays it's, well, those boys are rambunctious. We need to give them meds. No, you need to make them run the fuck around more. They're not tired. They're rambunctious. They don't need pills. They need to run around. But it's just easier to hear Johnny take a pill, sit down, and shut the fuck up. Listen to this boring thing I have to talk about, and don't disrupt the class. There's way too many kids on meds. And in case you didn't know, the human brain is not fully developed until you're like 25. So when you're starting to give chemicals that affect the brain of a child from the age of, 8 or 10, their brain is now fully developed. Hell, they haven't even hit fucking puberty yet. And when they do, oh boy, are there chemicals in the brain. A lot of boys typically, they get aggressive, they fight, right? Because that's just what boys do. But even with girls, the chemicals dump in the brain, hormones, puberty, it's fucking insane. Now you add psychotropic drugs, SSRIs, and all this other shit. How is that affecting the development of the brain and the personality and everything else? Nobody fucking knows, but nobody wants to talk about it. Especially when there's a shooting at a school. Nobody wants to ask the question. Nobody wants to talk about it. Because then you might have to fucking deal with something. Everybody, the experts, would need to get involved and talk about it. But nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Just like here's another big one. Bullying. Nobody wants to talk about bullying. Again, if you have ever listened to Two Guys, One Campfire, check out our very first episode. Ryan and I talk about it. It's, I think, one of our longest episodes, in fact. But it's very important to us on that episode because we both were bullied. Bullying has always been around. Forever and a day. And when we were kids, it was no different. Now, we're Gen Xers. So, when we got home from school, we got off the bus, and we were free. You get bullied all day or picked on all day, but you got home, and your home was your sanctuary. You were free. Summertime was the best time because there was no bullies around. Maybe there was one in the neighborhood, but you hardly ever saw them. You just off with your friends, doing your thing, And then you had to go back to school, and the bullying started again. But what changed in the early to mid-2000s? Smartphones and social media. Now, a lot of people hear me say that and they roll their eyes. But why are you rolling your eyes? Because you haven't delved into the real facts. As I have already stated, I was bullied as a kid to the point where I almost took my life when I was 15. I will get into that in a future episode because of a suggestion of someone who we mutually follow on X. But I almost did that because of bullies. And I still had a sanctuary when I got home from school every day and in the summer. Kids nowadays, everybody's got a fucking smartphone. Why? Why does your kid have a smartphone? Well, in case they... Shut up. When I was a kid, if I fell off my bike and my chain broke, I had to fucking walk home. There was no texting dad or mom to come get me. There was no electronic leash like that. If you want to get your kid a flip phone so they can call you in case of emergency, okay, I fully support it. You got my back in there. But a smartphone, why? Why? There's no need for that. Now, I'm not going to fault you if you give your kid a smartphone, but just be aware of what the fuck you are giving them. Because bullying not only happens in school, it happens out of school. 365 days a year. 366 on a leap year. I can do math. But bullying is relentless. It's 100% of the time there. Now, there's no escape. None. When your kid goes to bed at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, back when they were, back in my day, you went to bed and that was it. Now, their phones ding, ding, vibrate, ding, and it's texts and social media posts. You smell, you suck, fuck you, your mom's a piece of shit, I hope you die, and all this other horrible, heinous horse shit. And it's non-stop, day in and day out. Your kids, if they are picked on and bullied in school, they are picked on at night. When they wake up in the morning, they got the messages. On the weekends, they're getting messages. There is no fucking escape. Take the goddamn thing away from them. Or get involved. Read them. See what your kid is getting or what your kid is sending out. Because every parent out there, oh, my little Billy is perfect. They would never say mean things. Yeah, okay. Read your kids' text messages and see what they say. Do it. I dare you, Mom and Dad. Get involved in your kid's life. Maybe. Try it sometime. But again, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about smartphones. Nobody wants to talk about social media. Nobody wants to talk about bullying because then you might have to fucking do something about it. Again, bullying will never go away. It will never go away. It's just kids are assholes. Let's face it. People are assholes. People are mean. Genuinely, not everybody, of course, but people can be fucking mean and rude and crude. And kids, they kind of know better, but they also don't know better because their brain's not 100% yet. They're still learning how to not be a douche and how to be a human. But I know when I was growing up, my dad told me, you never start a fight, but you finish it. Yeah, okay, Dad. Have you seen the bullies at school? They're like a foot taller than me, and they got like 80 pounds on me. Really? I'm going to fucking punch them? You know what's going to happen? They're going to laugh, kick my ass, put me in a locker, and then bully me even harder. But thanks for the fucking advice, Dad. Appreciate it. But also in schools, they started, I don't know when it started, but early on, like in elementary school, at least for me, so this is what, early 80s? God, I'm old. Fighting back was frowned upon. If you were pushed and you pushed back, you would get in trouble too. It's like, I'm defending myself. It doesn't matter. We have a zero tolerance policy. Okay, thanks for that. I'm trying to defend myself, and I'm still being punished as if I'm an asshole. Thanks for that. I truly appreciate that. Great fucking message to send. Never defend yourself. So Most kids are good kids. Yeah, okay, they tease their friends and break balls. Okay, that's just what people do. But when it came to real bullying, most of the good kids, they didn't want to dish it back. Maybe they weren't quick enough mentally to clap back, verbally. Or most of them aren't physically able to fight back. They don't know how to fight or they don't want to because, well, getting punched in the face hurts and they don't like that. And they're good kids. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to go home and get in trouble at home. They just want to go about their day and go home and do their homework and play Nintendo at the time. But they're good kids and they don't want to get in trouble. So when they're told by the school, no fighting, no dishing, basically don't defend yourself. When they hear that, they're like, well, if I get pushed, I can't push them. I can't push the bully back. I can't fight back because I'm going to get in trouble, and I don't want to get in trouble. So they have to hold it in. They hold in this rage and this anger and self-loathing and hatred until one day it bubbles up to the surface and then something happens. It happened with me. I was bullied, and then one day some kid in class just walked up to me for literally no reason. Didn't say a word to him all day, never even really spoken to them. Just took my head, slammed it into the table. And as they were walking by behind me after doing this, I don't know what happened. I literally saw black, like just everything went black for about a second. And instinctively, I got up out of my chair, spun around, and right hooked this motherfucker in the face. Dropped the little bitch. And he laid there on the floor crying. And all I know is he's crying on the floor and my hand hurts. It's kind of numb. And the kid next to me, Aaron, looks up at me and goes, dude, that was awesome. But I got in trouble. I had my head slammed on a fucking table, and I got in trouble. He did as well. But I got in trouble. And that motherfucker went home crying to daddy, saying that I knocked him out, and then I was kicking him while he was down. I never knocked him out. He was crying like a little bitch, but I didn't knock him out. And there were plenty of witnesses to see this. They called my mother. They didn't even leave a message because there was no voicemail. We had a little machine called an answering machine. I had to call my mom after I was not told that I could go home on the bus. It was a complete fucking shit show. But I got in trouble for defending myself. Gee, and people wonder why nowadays kids are out of their goddamn mind. They're on all sorts of meds for ultimately most cases, not all, I understand, not all cases, but many cases, a high percentage, they're on meds for no fucking reason. They're bullied relentlessly. They're told they can't fight back. Gee, can you wonder why kids are choosing violence? Oh, wait, don't forget, if you do something and you put it on the internet, you get likes. Oh, they'll remember me now. I'm going to go do this crazy fucking thing. Do it on video, and I'm going to put it on social media, and I'll get likes. They'll remember me now. Yeah, people do crazy shit like that for clout. Oh, that doesn't happen. Yes, it fucking does, because people are nuts. Look at that Hawk Tua bitch. Nobody knew who the fuck she was until she got her 15 minutes of fame on a video talking about Hawk Tua. She was talking about spitting on a dick. And she's a millionaire now. Something as stupid as that. She got clout. She got likes on social media, and they made her famous. She got famous for talking about spitting on a dick. You think people don't do other wacky, goofy shit to become famous? Tom Green used to suck on cows' udders back in the day to become famous. Do you remember this? Gen Xers, I know you do. People did crazy shit just for clout back then. Now they do it for likes. Follow my page. Which reminds me, could you go on X and follow my account? Yeah, that'd be great. But people do crazy shit for clout and for likes and, oh, I've got followers and this and that. So if you think somebody out there that's being bullied and hates life and they hate themselves and they see no fucking end in sight, I just want it to end. Maybe I'll take them out with me. Maybe they'll remember me now. Maybe they'll respect me now. If you don't think that people, especially young people, don't think like that, you're fucking delusional. Get involved in your kid's life. If you find out they're bullying, beat the fuck. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Although many kids nowadays deserve an ass whooping from time to time. From time to time, not all the time. I'm a Gen Xer and I got my ass whooped often, and I think I turned out kind of okay. But seriously, nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to come up with a solution. Nobody wants to come up with security. No, well, just put in more cameras. Okay, that's great. So it's just, you can watch the violence from different angles in high def. Fantastic, great. Stream it on YouTube. I'm kidding. Don't fucking do that. But nobody wants to talk about a solution. Nobody wants to talk about the causes. Nobody wants to talk about anything. All they want to do is hopes and prayers and think about me. My hearts go out to you. Which, okay, yeah, I've already said that. My hearts, I got one. It's black and dead. But my heart goes out to the families. It does. I really do feel bad for them. Every time something crazy like this happens. Hell, I don't care if it's a kid's riding his bike home from school and he gets hit by a car and loses their life or gets hurt. That's tragic too. I don't want to see that happen. It's fucking terrible. But nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to get into it. Because anytime someone wants to bring logic to the table, people bring feelings. And logic doesn't give a shit about your feelings, but feelings make you yell and scream over the top of logic, and then nothing gets resolved. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about school shootings because it's fucking horrible. The idea of it is terrible, but it happens. Well, it happens all the time. No, it doesn't happen all the fucking time. No, it doesn't. Stop. Stop lying. Stop believing the lies. But I do agree that one school shooting is one school shooting too many. I do agree. It's terrible. It should never happen. But people are nuts. People have been through some shit. And you don't know what's going on inside someone's head. You don't know what they're dealing with, and you don't know if they're wired right or not. You don't know what they're dealing with at home either. If they're being bullied at school, and then they go home and have a drunk dad kicking the shit out of them every day, yeah, they want their fucking life to end. Might as well take out some pieces of shit I don't like with me. But don't talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. Well, I do. I want to talk about that. I'm not a genius on this subject. I'm just some asshole with a microphone. Thank you for listening, by the way. But seriously, I'm just some dumbass that's just thinking of logic. Now, if somebody else with more not common sense, but more expertise in the field wants to sit down and talk, let's do it. I want to do that. Educate me, and maybe I can also educate you. Because to the anti-gunners out there that are jumping up and down screaming ban guns, trust me, I know a lot more about guns than you, and you are a fucking idiot. Because you can ban the gun, you can't ban the violence. That's why my insensitive comment, I can hear people saying it already, earlier about we just need to make murder illegal. Well, again, yeah. As stupid as that sounds, right? Duh. Let's ban the guns. Somebody will pick up a hammer or a sickle or hedge trimmers or pick something, a lawnmower blade. If people want to commit violent acts, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. It's kind of like telling somebody that you know that's doing heroin, you should really stop doing heroin. They're not just going to go, oh, actually, you are quite correct. I should probably stop doing heroin. You could even take their drugs away. Guess what? They're going to go out and fucking buy more because that's just what they want to do. They're choosing to do that. Well, it's an addiction. Look, I'm not going to get into that fucking discussion either. They continue to choose to do that whether there's a demon in their head telling them to do it or not. You get my point. They're going to go and do that. You could take their drugs, flush them in the toilet. They're going to go out and buy more drugs because that's what they're going to do. So if you have somebody that wants to commit crimes or commit violence, it's against the law. They know it's against the law. They want to steal cars. They know it's against the law and wrong, but they're going to fucking do it anyway. But at least when it comes to soft targets like a school or a mall, a sign does not fucking work. You need to come up with a real solution, and complaining about it on the internet isn't going to fix anything. It doesn't work. Again, in closing, because I think I have ranted long enough, my heart goes out to all of you at that school in Georgia. Tragic and terrible. I wish you all nothing but the best in these hard, horrible fucking times. My thoughts go out to you, each and every one of you, and I am sincere when I say that. Thank you all for listening. If you like this episode or any of the others, please tell your friends, share it on your social media. I do appreciate that immensely. And until next time, please be safe and keep being